Circle thing, and we're live. All right. Okay. I suppose we should be live on the screen as well, huh? Okay, here we are. So we are in the middle of doing tip calculator, aren't we? Or no, we haven't done. We haven't started yet, have we? We did tip calculator. We completed tip calculator. We're on 3. You're right. And did I start last time? I feel like I didn't start last time. Okay, then we shall start with, oh my goodness, my gracious, my me. I did. All right, so we need lesson 3. We're doing, oh, of course, we're gonna play craps. According to this, I have excellent connection, and it is streaming, and there is a viewer. So,
who's viewing it?
I don't know, one. Okay, so here we go. Windows Forms app, a new project that is a Windows Forms app. Right there. This is going to be lab 3.0 craps. Craps.
Oh, okay.
I have no doubt. All right, we need a properties window. There's a properties window. Get the toolbox out. We got the toolbox out. All is well.
I'm going to call it form clips.
I suppose I should change the name here. Guided Lab 3.0. It is up. Oh, it's unlisted. There we go. Public.
There we go.
There we go. It's public now. It must be me.
Someone hacked into YouTube. Mr. Palau is now. Hey, I found it. Oh yeah, this is the website that lets you find a random YouTube video that I shut down. That was a shame.
Okay, here we go. So we've got this form. It's called Form 1. That's a bad thing, so we're going to call it FRM craps. Yeah. You don't need to listen to the audio on the video. You're literally right next to me.
It's audio section. Form 1, I love that.
Just look on my site. It should be there.
On your website?
No, on my YouTube site, Malacaster.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking there right now.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Crabs or C-R-A-P-S.
CRAPS. Craps.
Oh, there we go.
It is called craps because the original game apparently was called crabs. And that is French Creole to say craps. All right, so here's our craps game. We're going to need to roll some dice, which means we need some dice. So I'm gonna make those labels for the dice. Yep, I'm gonna call this LBL 1 die. And I'm giving it the number first instead of die 1 because the IDE uses auto completion. So I can just type in LBL1 and it'll complete to LBL1 die instead of having to wait till the end. Thank you. So my text, I'm just going to put a 6 for the now. I want it to look like a die, and right now it doesn't. So I'm going to change the auto size, and I'm going to make it, what's the current size, 100 by 23? No, that's not necessary. That looks roughly good, yeah? 52 by 52. Not bad, not bad. I'm going to align the text to be in the middle, just like a die would. I'm going to increase the font size. I don't know, let's try 18 and see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. 24 is probably too big.
You did 18?
24 is good. I did 24 on a 52 by 52 pixel square.
Wait, well, how do you make it in the middle? Sorry,
Go to the way bottom. It's text align.
What color should I make my die?
Yellow.
Yellow dye with what kind of, okay, so that would be back color. So I got a bunch of system colors, but I'm going to use a custom color. Ooh, I like this yellow. It's a good looking yellow. Does the black work, or do we want a different color?
Let's make it white.
White is a metal, and we don't put metals on metals. You guys know that.
Sure I do.
Try again.
Yeah, I remember.
And we got a color they like? Purple, yellow and purple. What could go wrong? So I'm going to use the 4 color to change that to a nice rich purple. And yeah, that looks disturbing. Let's go. There's got to be sports teams that are yellow and purple, right? Stevens Point.
So that's more purple, yellow.
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, the Vikings. I forgot about those guys. I forgot they were a team. All right.
That's me.
Thank you. All right, so copy paste, and then this one needs a new name, and that's going to be LBL2 die, and everything else is just fine. So these dice are going to be in the middle and on the top because, and I'm going to shrink this form later, but it's going to be in the middle and on the top because the dice are the focus of the game, and so they should be the focus of the form. All right, there's 3 things you get to do in a game of craps. Does everybody know how to play craps? No. All right, I'm going to pause the stream right here. And we're going to go to the clavicle and take a look at how to play craps. Now, I think somebody steal my dice. So last year I had a problem with people stealing stuff out of my desk. And apparently, one of the things they stole was one of the dice.
We should booby trap it with the and see what happens now. Some stars are there.
No, I think we just have different supervision. Well, normally I have 2 dice, so we're just going to have 1 die.
Just copy and paste the dice.
I will roll it twice. Yes, please, copy and paste this for me.
Okay. You need a keyboard. I need to write a Control-C.
Anybody else have a 6-sided die on them?
No.
Gamers? No
Not in
gamers?
my pocket right now.
I don't have my dice bag on.
Under here. Sorry, that's okay.
I should just remove your head and just roll it? Excellent.
That's not fair. Sorry, it's not.
That's not
That's my only concern.
that's not a fair die. Yeah, that's true. Okay. So here's the game. The first thing you do is called a come out roll. Come out roll. Yeah, it's where you enter into the game. So a 5 and a 1. If that come out roll is a 2, a 3, or a 12, you just lose.
Well, you didn't lose.
If that come out roll is a 7 or 11, you just win.
Oh my god, I just rolled if F.
You were close.
I'm dyslexic.
Anything else becomes your point value. And then the game changes. The game changes to, can you roll your point value before you roll a 7? All right. So this is the come out roll. And then I guess you call it subsequent rolls. I don't know. I have no doubt that there's a word for these kinds of rolls. Subsequent? It means what comes after, yeah. Literally it means under sequence. Anyway, 4 and 1 make 5. What was my point? 6? All right, so my point is 6. What? I just rolled a 5. So that was, if it's a 7 on the subsequent rule, I lose. If it's my point, I win. And if it's anything else, I keep going. The game isn't over, there is no result. So I will go again. 4 and 4 is 8. That's not a 7, it's not my point, which is 6. So I'll try it again. 2 and I got it. 2 and 4 is 6. That was my point.
This is heavily stacked against you.
It is slightly stacked against me.
Well, 7 is the most common.
It is, but with this bit is almost 50-50. In fact, actually might be, let's see, there's 6, 7, 8, and 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, actually it is more likely that I will win on a come out roll than I will lose on a come out roll. But it's more likely to get the point, and yeah, I don't remember the statistical breakdown off the top of my head, but if you are going to a casino to make money, and you should not be going to a casino to make money, but if you are going to a casino to make money, and you want the sure thing, go play craps and do the doubling bet strategy, where you put in a relatively low bet. Every time you lose, you double the bet that you put in for the next one, and every time you win, you reset your bet to the low again. You will make your bet amount for every one of those every time you win.
Unfortunately, it's only guaranteed if you have an infinite amount of money.
If you have a largely sufficient amount of money and you have a roughly 50-50 chance, you can be fairly certain that you're going to win. All right, so let's try it again. 1 and 2 is 3, is lose. Very good. I like how you grin about that. 5 and 1 is 6, so there's my point again. So we'll do subsequent rolls. That's a 4 and a 3, 7, lose. Very good. Any questions about that?
No.
Then the next roll after I win or lose is come out roll. All right, let's see what that looks like on a program.
Alternates between come out. So your point can be 1.
It cannot be 1. How do you roll 1 on 2 dice? It can't be 2.
So it can be 4, 5,
4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Back to it. So, what are the things I'm going to be doing? I roll. I'm going to call it BTN roll, and it's just going to say roll on it. And that's really all I need as far as buttons are concerned, because that, as a player, is all I'm doing. This is a computer, so as such, computers can do work for people. So we're going to do some work for people. We're going to have a label for the total. LBL total label. And that's going to say total. Maybe it should say roll. I'm going to call it roll on the text. Notice that the name of it is different from what I'm showing the user. That's because I'm interested in the total when it comes to the mathy part, but the user just cares about what their role is. And then another label, and this one shall be called LBL total. And I'm going to put 12 there. There it is. And you know what? I want some control over where this looks, and I want it to be lined up nice. So I'm going to take off auto size so that it will be the size I want it to be. I'm going to shrink it down a bit. There we go. So it's lined up with the outside of the other die. And I'm going to align this top right, because it's a number, and numbers are nicely formatted against the right side because that's where their ones column is. All right, so that's the roll. Now sometimes we're going to have a point value. And so I want the computer to keep track of that too. So I'm going to copy and paste both labels, and then the first label, I'm going to change the name to LBL point label. And instead of saying roll, it's going to say point. Question? Okay. And you know what? I'm going to leave that as 12 for now. Because, I mean, even though it's impossible to get a point value of 12, I am going to make that visible equals false so that it doesn't show up unless it is necessary. Actually, I'm going to do that to both of them. To both point values.
What did you set to not visible?
Point, the LBL point label and LBL point, which I forgot to name. Yep. All right. I'm going to take all 4 labels and copy and paste them, because I'm going to keep track of wins and losses in this game. So this first label here is going to be called LBL wins label. It's going to be and instead of roll for its text, it's going to say wins simply. Its companion label will be called LBL wins, and it will start at 0 because that's how many wins you have when you start. This label here, I'm going to call LBL losses label, and it will say losses in the text with a nice little colon. It's pretty. And that its companion label shall be called LBL losses, because I want a nice short name, because that's the name I'll be using in the code. And of course, you start with no losses either. So there you go. I'll take the form and shrink it down a bit, and that looks okay. Let me run it and see if it still looks okay. Yeah, somehow get build errors. Yeah, there we go. Oops. Actually, we do already see something I did wrong. The point is missing, which it should be. Loss is also missing because I copied it from point, because the ancient god of unintended consequences never sleeps. So I will set those visibles to true, and that should fix our problem nicely. There we go. All right, so if you're caught up and you know it, clap your hands. All right. Moving on. there are actually two things that I want to put code in here. One being the button, very obviously, but the other being the form. The whole form. So I'm going to double click on the form, and I'm going to move the properties window in the toolbox away. Something wrong? Oh, all right. Well, good news is this is recording, so you'll be able to catch up later if you need to. Now that I'm here on code, I need to do my 5 lines. What day is this? 14th? It's the 14th somewhere. Let's see. I've been thinking about Ready Player One, so I'm going to use the word classic too much here. And then I need a random thingy. Why did I do this to myself?
Plug your Twitter.
Plug my Twitter? I do have a Twitter account.
Oh, you do? You should create an Instagram.
I have 2. I've got one for, it's called Wanaki CS, and the other one, and a personal one called Malacaster, and I use neither. So, so yeah, shout out to myself, Malacaster, and Wanaki CS. All right. Okay, notice that the code that popped up when I created, when I double-clicked on the form is this event, load. And what that does is this code will run when the program runs, at the very first time the program runs. The thing that I want here is that little thing that randomizes random numbers or pseudo-random numbers, randomize. By putting that in there, I have made the program less predictable. If I didn't put random in there, it would be the same numbers every time. All right, let's go back to the form because now I want the button, and rather than type the whole thing in myself, I'm just going to double click on the button and have the IDE auto-generate what I need to create a sub for clicking the button. Let's see, let's talk about some variables that I need. I know I need the 2 dice. I know I'm going to need the total for those 2 dice. I mean, I could come up with a total every time, but why? And I'm using integers because, you know, dice very rarely come up with, you know, 2.5 or whatever. I can think of a couple of other variables I might need. Like I need to keep track of the point value. I can come back later when I can burn that bridge when I cross it. Also wins and losses. I will, if I'm keeping track of those, I'll need to keep track of them somewhere. But let's talk about wins and losses really quick. In order to do wins and losses, that's going to be outside each roll, each die roll. Each die roll will end at the end of this sub right here, which means I need a way to keep track of them when I leave the sub, something with a lifetime of the whole program. And for that, I need some globals. We're going to call this int wins and int losses. as Tintiger. Tintiger sounds vaguely naughty. I'm not sure why.
What?
It was a typo. Instead of spelling integer, I typed Tintiger.
Sounds weirdly like
Tintiger. No, I think Tintiger is the swiping data or the swiping dating app for variables. Tintiger. All right.
You try to put in a double and then you get really kicked off site.
Here's another thing. I need to know. Oh, excuse me. Thank you. I need to know how I'm going to keep track of whether this is a come out roll or not. So, in order to do that, I need to do that between rolls as well. So here comes another global. It's either it is or it ain't. So this is going to be a Boolean. Boolean. Yes, it is the data type for Halloween. The Boolean. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey,
You have int 2 die like D as a capital letter simultaneous.
I did that. Yes, I did not intend to do that. Thank you. Nope, nope. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Excuse me. First thing that needs to happen, no matter what, when the user clicks the button, is the dice need to be rolled. So I need to use the magic formula for 6-sided dice. And that is going to look like this. Now, I need a number between 2 and 12, right? That's rolling 2 6-sided dice, and then multiplying by, or the rolling 2 6-sided dice and adding them together is going to give me a number between 2 and 12. Why can't I just pick a random number between 2 and 12? And that is because the sum of 2 dice do not give you a uniform distribution, do not give you an even chance for a 2 and a 7. Most results clump up in the middle, and you get this sort of curve, well, something that starts approximating a bell curve the more dice you throw at it. 2 dice looks more like a chevron. Excuse me. Like a really big carrot. Yep. And then int total will be int 1 die plus int 2 dice. 2 die. And there we go. So that's all of the numbers handled. We need to actually start putting some stuff on the forms. So label 1 die dot text shall not tab index. Thank you, autocomplete. So I'm going to take the value of int 1 die and put it in label 1 die. And the same for int 2 die. Apparently I need a nap. Excuse me. Oops. LBL total dot text shall be assigned int total. So that'll put that on the form. Awesome. Now we need to figure out what to do with this number now that we have it. And that is simply, that's going to be an if statement. If bool come out equals true, this is a come out roll. Now, I want to tell you something about Booleans, or in if statements. If statements, between the if and the end, and between the if and the then, Visual Basic is looking for a Boolean, right? This equal sign is acting as an equals operator. It will compare the thing on its left to the thing on its right, and if they're equal, it will return true, and if not, it will return false. So that phrase will become a Boolean. But I've already got a Boolean that will be true or false, right? So if I want to make, so I don't actually need to check to see if it's true. I can just say if boo come out. Which reminds me, boo come out needs to be true at the beginning of the game. And Boolean's initialized to false. So just to make sure, I'm going to go back to, there we go, my form load. And I'm going to initialize boo come out as true. And you know what? Even if I wanted boo come out to be false, I would do that, because getting all of your variables together in one place does two things for you. One, it makes sure you don't accidentally do something wrong. And two, anyone reading your code later will be able to just look at your initial subroutine and say, oh, I see what's going on. Because remember that code is not only written for computers. No, what was you, what?
It's for each other. It's for. What did I say? I said for our fellow gamers trying to solve each other's code. That's what I said.
Yeah, well, possibly. Yeah.
What did you say? Nerd boy, what did you say?
Children.
I feel like you were making fun of
Me?
me. Yes.
No.
I feel like this is a hostile environment.
Need to change who come out to.
Duly noted. You should put in a complaint to the CEO. All right.
I am the CEO.
All right, back to it. If it has come out, then we need to check to see if you lose. If int total equals, now a bunch of you are going to want to do this. That thing I just typed is wrong, and I will tell you why in a moment. I'm just going to put the next line down here because I want to do a message box. You lose, comma, comma, and then the title. Loser. There we go. I'm sorry? It is 2, 3, or 12. You're right. Thank you. Okay, so 2, 3, or 12. This won't work because this or right here is going to take a look at this and this. Now this equals has precedent over the or, so it's going to go first. It's going to see if the total is 2. When the total is 2, that will become true. When it is not, it will become false. Right? Chances are it will not be 2. Then it looks at this side, takes a look at the 3 and says, that's not a Boolean, I don't understand. But remember, VB is weakly typed, so it's going to try to convert that 3 into a Boolean. And the rules for converting numbers into Booleans is, if it's 0, it's false. If it's anything else, it's true. So it's going to convert that 3 into true, and false or true is true, which means you will always lose no matter what you roll. So you need to have the full comparative statement in everyone. Why am I torturing you? Get paid. Okay, I've got 3 possibilities here. You know what? I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it the long way, and then I'm going to show you some refactoring here. So now I'm going to check to see if we win. So if it's 7 or int total is 11, then message box, you win. Winner. And then else, int point equals int total. Now there seems to be a problem with this. I haven't created int point. Int point needs to go between roles, so I'm going to put it up with all of the stuff on top. There it is. But that's not all. I also need to indicate to the game that the next roll is not going to be a come out roll. So I will set boo come out to false. So this is acceptable. You have this sort of cascading if statements that are nested and nested and nested. Visual Basic has some options to do some other stuff instead. If you don't want it to look all cascadey, you can do an else if. Else if looks exactly like a nested else statement. In fact, that's or if statement. That's exactly what it is, in fact. Question. Yeah, I made another one here, right here. This thing, right here. Yep, we're down. All right. But that's not all. I created private endpoint as integer right here. And here, see it? It says private endpoint as integer. You have the video. Scroll back and pause it. Oh, the right time. Okay. So if it's not a come out roll, I already have a point value. So really what I'm looking at is if int total is 7, then this is going to be a lose. So I'm just going to copy this. And if I'm here, boo come out is false, so I need to make it true again. So that the next roll will be a new game.
Hold on. It is. No.
Make sure that it's in between or it's after an if statement. I'm going to do an else if here. We'll troubleshoot later. Else if int total is equal to int point, then message box, you win. Now, some of you might be freaking out about something I missed, which I did. We'll get back to it in a second. And I need to change my boo come out roll to true again. And here's the other thing. So if it's neither of those, I don't actually do anything, right? You're just going to roll again. So I don't actually need an else statement there. Oh my goodness. There we go. And it's fine. We'll catch you up. Now there's one other thing that isn't happening right now, and that is because I haven't put in the thing for keeping score. But we are in a good place we can test, so I'm going to test. and see if this actually works. I rolled a 2. I should lose. I did lose, so that's good. 8 should be a point. You win. Now here's a behavior that I wasn't expecting, or that I was expecting that didn't happen, which is the point come up here to tell me what my point was. I need to code for that. So let's go back to the code and do that. That's going to be here where I roll a point. So LBL point dot text shall equal the point. LBL point dot visible becomes true. And Sodia's LBL point label. Equals true. And then at the end of a game, I'll make the point value go away. LBL point LBL point label dot visible equals false. And I need that in both places, so I'm just going to copy and paste. And there we are.
Way faster than your students can know.
Yes. The value. I haven't tested this, so it might be horribly wrong. Yeah. Builder, where's the problem here? Oops, I forgot to put point dot visible. That is the kind of mistake you will have your entire life.
Now every time I press the button. Yeah, that's still not working.
All right. Groovy.
This is not working very
Groovy. All right. Okay. My guess is that's because your code does not look like my code.
Wait, what does your phone look like when you start it?
When I run it,
Yeah, like when you run it.
looks like that.
Okay, yeah. Big shit. Also, I know we talked about this before, but like when the labels of the text is cut off, how do you
That means I won, right?
make it like that?
How does that happen? I got my roll.
Which of your labels is cut off?
How does that
You know what? That's gonna make
Kind of works, I think.
Where am I going? So, my first question, if you're having trouble, is does your code look like my code? Because computers do not work such that if your code looks like my code, it does something different. It means that your code does not look like my code, which is why it's doing something different. Yeah. Shoot.
I'm on a losing streak, guys. Hey, I just
Why do you do that times 6 and then add 1? Wouldn't it just be 1?
Okay, so if you remember, RND gives you a number between 0 and 1.
Oh, if it's
0 inclusive, 1 exclusive. So the highest it can give me is 0.999999.
Sure.
I multiply by that 6. I multiply that by 6, and I get 5.999999.
And then that'll round
I take
down.
the integer of that, and that makes it 5.
Oh, yeah, because it rounds down.
So I will get a number between 0 and 5.
I see.
There aren't a whole lot of dice numbered 0 to 5.
Yeah. So then you add the 1.
So I add the 1 to make it 1 to 6, to shift that up the number line
That makes a lot more sense.
by 1.
Thank you.
Groovy?
Hey, just train of thought. We have Booleans, boo, and there's like a coming. You both come out.
Right?
It leads me to think about Kilomakaboo. Make boo.
Oh, Boo Radley. I see. Completely unintentional, I assure you.
Okay, now we gotta keep track of Chris losses, right? I was on a losing streak.
Right, if you're caught up and you know it, clap your hands.
I am.
Exploding?
Yes, I am gonna. What? I'm so confused where everything goes.
So your code doesn't look like mine.
No.
Because you don't have quotes there. You don't have quotes there. You don't have quotes there. You don't have quotes there.
Wait, so you're supposed to.
So that separates it to the message and the title.
Oh.
Alright. So what else are we looking for? We
Just
called this
where
int point.
Int point?
Yeah, point is a keyword, so
Okay.
or it's a thing.
Okay, I'm just so confused where you put label point visible and then label LBL visible.
Right there.
So like,
Which is here. And then I copied and pasted it. Copied and pasted here.
but then change it to false.
Yes. Because I need to turn those two labels off.
Okay, I almost had a panic attack. I was like,
Oh, point starts invisible? Yeah.
and then this is.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said point starts invisible. Is that point starts invisible? All right. Shall we move on? Shall we?
Something like that.
Move forward. We are almost done. All we need to do. Very good. Keep track of wins and losses. We haven't done that yet. We have everything set up for it. We've got the labels on the form. We've got the global variables up here. But we don't have any code to manipulate those things yet. So, basically everywhere we win or lose, we need to do that. So we start at the top of our if statement. We see our first win or loss. So I'm going to do something cool here. I don't remember if I usually do this at this unit or if I've done it before. Remind me if you've seen this before. Has anyone seen me do something like that before? Yeah. So that plus equals is its own operator. It is a left associative binary operator that takes, or sorry, it's right associative binary operator. Sort of. Actually, I don't know. I think it's right associative ultimately because it does assign stuff to the first thing, but it needs the value of that first thing first. Interesting. Anyway, point being, it doesn't matter. Here's what it is. It is essentially the exact same thing as this line of code would be. Like that. So that sort of thing happens so often. I do teach it next time. It is in the next unit now that I think about it. So yeah, you know what? Let's just go to that old school and stick with it for now. Int losses is assigned int losses plus 1. Now if this is a math problem, there would be a problem because x equals x plus 1 doesn't work. But it's code, and that's not an equal sign. That's an assignment operator. What it says is take the value of int losses, add 1 to it, and then assign that total back to int losses. It is called incrementing, which is to add 1 to or add a certain amount to. And of course, there is the opposite of incrementing. Anybody? Decrementing. Very good. And then LBL losses.text. Now that we've actually added 1 to losses, we need to actually display the new number. And that would be there. While I'm here, do you guys want me to just go straight down one at a time, or is it okay for me to copy and paste? You know what? Let's go straight down one at a time and give you guys a chance to catch up. Yeah. Int wins equals int wins plus 1 for a win. And you know what? Just for consistency, I will put that after the message box. And LBL wins dot text equals int wins. I like putting the message box first because that's the first thing the user sees, and then the user can see the updated number of wins or losses. Here's a loss down here that we need to do. So this will be int losses equals int losses plus 1. And LBL losses dot text equals int losses. I hear a question. Go.
Alright, so would it be better to like just label losses dot text like plus or equals to label losses dot text plus 1 instead of just like
Yeah, but then you'd be storing your value in a string. More importantly, you'd be storing a value in a object on the form, a string in an object on the form. And now I'm singing like there was a hole in the ground, the tree in the hole in the ground. And in that form, there was a label. Yeah. And that's not great, especially if you plan on doing mathy things with it. So it is better to just keep. And
Oh, cool. Thanks for
what if later you added a leaderboard? Now you got to pull numbers anyway, so you might as well start with the number. So it is better, because remember, computers are stupid. Right? So it's best not to complicate things for them. Keep the numbers being numbers, strings being strings. Another consideration, which is getting less and less now the computers are faster and bigger. But every time, if you're storing it as a string, you have to convert it to a number every time you use it. And that's more steps for the computer to do, which ultimately is a slower program, which ultimately reflects on you as a software engineer. So, yeah. Which way would you rather do it? Not my way, but the way I am describing, yes. All right. I've got a winner here. I want to winify. Yes.
For some reason, my code isn't moving past the come out roll.
Isn't moving past?
Yeah, no, it's always on a come out roll.
Okay. So it's always on a come out roll. Do you have this line of
Yes,
code?
I do.
I like how you said that without looking.
Yes, I do.
You do have that.
Yes.
Can I go for some shapes quick?
Yes.
Thank
Do
you.
you have this line right here? This little else statement here. Or do you have a separate? Did you do any extracurricular coding here? And code something that I didn't code, like, for example, a separate if statement to see if boo come out is false. Okay.
Build error. I put in the element.
Okay. So double check that your code looks like my code, because I don't think it looks like my code. Your code does not look like my code, so change it so it does.
Yeah, the loss count does not go up. It stays.
Oh god, it changed this to one. It's like if pause.
That means he's probably put in the wrong label then.
Or you actually named your label the actual thing instead of putting the word label at the end of it. Yeah.
I'm having a problem with your YouTube here.
Yeah,
When I try to pause it, it accelerates even faster.
That's amazing. How does a live stream accelerate?
I don't know. Like I go back, pause it, and it accelerates.
And it accelerates.
The time speed.
So you paused it.
I don't have it paused now because I'm trying to look for where I am.
Okay. Yes.
With Chrome, no matter how many times I would lose, once it changes from 0 to 1, it does not go up after that.
Well, first of all, you don't want the label. You want the actual
Well,
thing itself.
I have a couple of questions for you. Where are these declared?
Lost the label that text. You want just lost the label. Nope. Down there.
And you also bring up an interesting point. I haven't tested the scoring yet, so I don't know that it actually works.
It does work. I'm testing it.
It works? Okay.
All you gotta do
Does
is
it go up
try running it
above
now.
1?
Now you should be good.
Where
Like, you get 2 wins and 2 losses?
See? I have you just had the wrong thing changed.
The only thing that's not working is whenever
where is okay, so where are int wins and int losses being declared?
it doesn't show up right here. So whenever I do a come
Yeah.
Should be. Yours is mine works.
It might work
Isn't
now.
an immediate win or lose? Should
Right.
they come up with a point and put one against goal?
It should.
Because that doesn't
Lose.
work.
Okay, now it's working.
Okay.
Yeah, mine don't.
That would be, so the point problem that you're looking for would be in these lines right here.
Alright, hang on. So it doesn't have first.
No.
Oh, because I don't have any of that.
Ah, I think I see your problem.
I think
You don't have any of that.
blue come out equal false. Yep, I don't have any of that. So that's probably fine.
Okay.
Just keep it there for a second.
Hmm?
Can I do dots instead of like number signs?
My goodness, I freaking
Yes. Is there Unicode for dice? I don't remember. I don't remember if there's Unicode for dice. If there is, then there's a very easy way to do that. If not, you'll have to use the number to decide which picture to display. It's not terrible. Well, usually, it can be. But I mean, if you think about it, all computer animation is a series of pictures. Hold that thought. What you would do is layer all 6 dice on top of each other and only make one of them visible. Question. Could you say that again with consonants, please?
Yeah, I want to learn that.
Are we ever gonna learn the line of code that takes the picture from right here and
I
then
think that's
stretches out to the center of the board?
Yes. We will play with that.
class
It works. Thank you.
this semester.
I don't know how I missed that
This semester or next?
I think it's Unit 5, so I think it's this semester.
We're coming up.
We're going places in the world.
Dude, craps works.
But you could actually probably figure out, are we talking about the event that handles when that happens? Or are you talking about just resizing the form in your program instead of manually?
Probably resizing because you know in most programs just move takes that to like the center.
Right. So, so you're talking about the event handler for resizing the form.
Yeah.
Like when you resize the form. Yes, we're definitely doing that in Unit 5. Yes.
How many days are we gonna have to do labs?
More than 0. I'll look that up.
Because I won't be here next class because I have the PSAT.
You won't be here? Oh, thank goodness. I mean, we'll miss you. That's what I meant to say.
It is now saved.
So is that it? Is that the lab?
That is pretty much it. That's the lab. I'm going to go back to the thing. I'm going to scroll through I'm going to scroll through the code one more time so that people can go back and look at it. And then I'll also make the code available online for people in the class that need it. And then I will end the stream. So remember to like and subscribe. And no, I'm kidding. Follow me on Instagram. I don't even think I even have an Instagram account. Oh, I have 2 Twitter accounts. I think I have an Instagram account because they make you make an account if you want to read it. And occasionally a student will say, hey, look at this thing I did. So yeah. All right. So that's it.